I'm interested to see if the process of the production of a portrait, in terms of the sittings, can give us an insight into the nature of the person, what it is like living with a facial disfigurement. At the same time, sort of address some taboos that to do with kind of looking at people that might sort of preclude us from sort of gaining an access to sort of like the person within. Portraits are a very good way of doing this because due to the amount of time you spend with the subject, four sittings, you get more of an insight into the character of the person, which then sort of manifests itself through the outcome and the design of the painting. I'm off to meet Marc Crank today for the first time. I'm going to be producing a portrait of Marc. I'm quite interested in finding out about the nature of the person, and I've found over the years that producing portraits allows you an insight into people's character rather than just being a superficial representation of what they look like. I've not met Marc before. We've talked on the phone a couple of times. He's been lined up for me as a sitter by the Changing Faces Foundation. So today I'm going to go through the initial stages of creating a portrait. What I usually do is just spend some time with the sitter and we have a talk. We might well have a cup of coffee and I find out a little bit about them. I'm not terribly keen on contriving portraits or arranging people or getting them to wear certain things. I kind of rather paint them in what they would wear sort of when they open the door to anybody, really. I think this gives a slightly more honest and less contrived approach to a painting. The context of the portrait and the surroundings are important to me because I find them equally informative in terms of the character and the nature of the person. A person is an awful lot more than just, I suppose, the skin they're within. And I suppose when I produce a portrait, I'm looking to tap into other kind of non-verbal, maybe visual clues as to the nature of the person. And I think it's only fair that I should represent that in a painting and say, well, hey, a person is more than just an outward appearance. Just hold still for a second, just while I work out I'm working out the edge of your face here in relation to your glasses. So I've got the distance between this part of your nose here and that edge of your glasses there, and then I need to look at what goes beyond it here.
So we're looking to the right hand side of
stay like that, and I'll just put a few crucial points in. And that one there, glasses come around there, so the edge of the face tucks in just here.
Yeah, at some point I'd actually give me better. I want them to. I have catalogues of bits I want them to trim off. It's quite.
Catalogues of bits of what?
Of me that I want them to trim and fiddle with. Surgeons look at you and see what they see as being wrong or what they want to do.
Right.
It's a common thing with people who with a facial difference is that there are things that they're bothered about which might be minuscule in comparison with other faults or differences with their face, but that's a bit that's important to them. I mean, I was much more disfigured when I was in my teens, but I had a large mole on my right cheek, and I was convinced that that's all I wanted doing. I could leave all the other lumps, bumps and swellings as long as they removed this mole. Fortunately they didn't listen to me, they took it all away.
Yeah.
But that was a thing that I focused on, that was what was important to me.
Right.
And now there are sort of bits that I don't like and that I want them to trim and change, and we sometimes have to have disagreements because they say, well, that's not really important to the grand scheme of things, but it is to me.
Right, okay.
Absolutely.
So, how much control over your appearance then in that case do you have?
I think I have quite a lot of control.
Right.
Really, I mean, I've got to the stage now where it's not life-threatening anymore, so that if I didn't go back to them and say, actually, I'm getting unhappy with the way I look and I want you to do this, because there's two aspects to it. There's me wanting to look like a young Sean Connery, and the other bit is not wanting to leave it so long that the tumour keeps growing and I need to have huge surgery or it gets to be life inhibiting in any way. Because even if left its own devices, it would just carry on growing and growing, and I would end up with massive amounts of tumour, which would be very disfiguring, but also debilitating in terms of the things that I like to do. So my rationale is frequent trimmings are a lot better than infrequent big surgery.
And do you mind me if I ask, is it quite painful? Can it be quite painful?
It can, I think, but it's something I've grown up with, so I have a different perception of pain to a lot of people. I have a very high pain threshold.
Right.
That sounds really butch, doesn't it? But it's true. I don't, because it can be quite painful. I've had a lot of surgery, and I don't have painkillers and things when I go into surgery because I'd rather feel what's different about me, and so yes, it can. But I have quite good sort of personal pain management techniques, to the point where actually when I go to have dental work done, I won't have a local anaesthetic because I don't particularly like needles. I'd rather have the pain of the drill than the needle. So,
well, you're one step up on me there then. How long have you known each other?
Well, about...
We were in university together 15 years ago, but we've only been together, really known each other well for about 5 years now.
Yeah. But I knew who he was at university. Because he's very distinctive, you're not going to forget him. Yeah. Although our circles, for some reason, despite having two mutual friends, never seemed to cross. So we can't actually remember ever talking to each other at university, can we?
No.
Yeah. But I knew who he was, and you knew of me.
Yes.
Yeah. So so how did you cross over? How did you get to know each other? Did you
through one of our mutual friends?
And was it like a kind of like a dinner party you shared or something?
Well, our mutual friend came to visit me because she lives in Surrey, and said that while I'm up there, do you mind if Flo comes along, because she's working quite close and I don't get a chance to see her very often, so can she come and stay in your house? You've got plenty of room.
So she invited me to Mark's house.
Yeah, so Flo came here, and at the same time we all met up as friends, and that was the start of something really rather great.
Yeah. I think it today, really, when you think about it, so much can be done with digital editing and all that kind of stuff, and removal of wrinkles and all that kind of stuff. That perhaps conversely today, you might actually think a portrait would be more accurate because of the dialogue in between the artist and the sitter, as opposed to an image which can be edited in a little room somewhere, way out of.
I know what you mean. The skills are more freely available to people to manipulate photographs now than they are to manipulate or produce paintings, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely.
And I suppose at one point it would have been the other way around,
exactly,
wouldn't it?
Yes.
Let's go back to covering the point we've spoken about a little bit. I think there's a big difference with photographs and portraits, which makes me like painting so much more. You should be able to surround people with that. I mean, photography is very sterile.
Yeah.
I was thinking when we went to last time we were at the Marl Galleries, there was I can't remember which cricketer it was.
Oh yeah, was it Viv Richards?
It could have been the Viv Richards picture. Yeah. We could really get a sense of a summer's day, smell of linseed oil and just the whole thing seemed to be much more alive. I really like the process, and I've enjoyed seeing it emerge from your initial sketch, particularly the fact that I was watching that sketch be produced in the viewfinder of your video camera, which wasn't terribly accurate. That was a bit alarming.
The sketch wasn't terribly accurate, or
only because the fact that I was looking at it through the viewfinder from a distance, I couldn't really see it. And it had cubist overtones. I had panic attacks as a result of that. But I actually turned around and faced the board and see what you're doing. I liked it. So I mean, if somebody who's interested in art, I really enjoyed watching the process.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's all about me makes it even better.